must be wondering why I'm standing in front of this rack of tools in our shop. If you go to a decent bonsai store, whether it's online or a physical store, you will get confused with the wide range of implements that you can buy. These are only the hand tools. There are mechanical tools like carving tools, Dremels, Makitas, all sorts of things. I'm not going to go into that because that's very advanced. I'm just going to talk about basic bonsai tools. Now, what are tools? Tools are what distinguish or make human beings different from animals. It is said that men are different because they learn to use tools. Sometimes you see documentary programs about chimpanzees where they learn to use basic tools with a stick or something to pry grubs out from ants' nests. So that's a use of a tool. But human beings have become more sophisticated. These are only hand tools. If you look at other things like computers, that's a tool. A car is a tool. They are only a means to an end. They are not an end in itself. So that is what we've got to remember. So whenever you see a beautiful bonsai, you have to ask yourself, they can be created that way, but very often without the use of tools, you could not get that shape. So what are the different tools we have? I know that tools are sold because they produce money for people who manufacture them. They give us money for those of us who sell them. So let's look at some of the basic bonsai tools. Bonsai tools are mainly the cutting tools like scissors, branch cutters, secateurs, and then there are root hooks for teasing the roots, and then these are the brushes for cleaning the trunks. So there are different types of tools, but we're mainly going to talk about the cutting tools. So cutting tools are your scissors, and then the branch cutters, the branch splitters, and also perhaps the wire cutters and the different types of gin pliers. So I will go away from this tool board and I will take you to show you some of the tools that I have in my armory. You must be wondering why I've decided to talk about tools, bonsai tools. I was doing some pruning a few moments ago and I kept looking at the tools I have in my hand. Most of you will know by now that my favorite tool is the Felco No. 2 secateurs. That is probably the most used tool in my armory. But that is not the only thing I have. The other next most useful tool is this particular type of trimming scissors. But if you look at all these tools, these are some of the tools I just brought out of the tool drawer. I do use them from time to time, but I don't use them that much. So let's look at the tools for cutting. So the secateurs are the most basic tool we use for cutting virtually anything. So if I turn around here and I have, this is just a young juniper. If I want to cut a shoot like this, I will just go and use this. This is so handy. You can even use this. And you see there's so many types of scissors. You can use any of these scissors. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different types of scissors. Now, I'm sure you will know by now that every time you pick up a tool feels different. This pair of scissors feels different from this scissors. It may look the same, but it certainly feels different. The balance and the weight and the sharpness is different. They're all Herons branded scissors, specially made for us. These two look innocuous enough. They're similar to the Satsuki shears, but this tool feels different from this tool. This is also the black carbon steel version of this. So the weight is the same, but the feel is different. This is sharper than this one. And when it comes to root cutting scissors, you can get these very cheap ones, which are really used for cutting paper, or you can get a better type of scissors like that for cutting. So just in scissors alone, you can get 10 different types of design. I'm not saying what is good and what is bad. Usually these, what we call twig shears, are used for cutting into the stems like that. So this is a very, very useful tool. Many different designs. The weight of the tool is also different. This particular one, which our manufacturer makes for us, has got this notch here. That notch is for cutting wire. Similar to the Felco Secateurs has a little notch over here in there, and that is for cutting wire in the middle there. So that's the same principle. So just in these scissors alone, there are different weights of scissors, and you will have your own favorite ones, and I have my own favorite one. My favorite twig shears, some people may call it root cutting shears, but this shape of handle suits my hand more so than that one. So as you pick up different tools, you will feel that some of them suit you, some of them may not suit you. So we all have our favorites. If you play tennis or badminton, you have a special racket. Same way, even in cricket, people have their own favorite cricket bats. So it's no different from that. So much for the scissors. Now let's look at the branch cutters, because the branch cutter is the next most common tool. Different people give different names to the cutters, and what we call the branch cutter, there are two types. There's this one. If you come close, you see the blade is what we call a flat concave, and that is rounded. This is called the Wen cutter. Sometimes people call it the knob cutter, but they're all branch cutters. It helps you get close to the trunk and really get a grip. Different sizes and weights for different thicknesses of branches, and the weight, the heavier the thing, the bigger the branch you can cut. Smaller ones help you to cut smaller branches. So the sizes determine the job you have on hand to do. Same with the Wen cutter and branch cutter. That's a very big flat Wen cutter, this one, Wen cutter, and that's a big branch cutter. And then you have it in the black steel or the stainless steel. When it comes to the branch splitter, look at it. You have so many. They're both the same. These are all Japanese tools, by the way, and they're not the Herons tools. And they are identical, but that is in the black steel, and this is in the stainless steel. Mind you, they feel different somehow. I don't know why, but they do feel different. And then when it comes to the size, you have different sizes of tool. So that tool and this tool can handle different thicknesses of branches. So if you have a very thick branch you want to split, you would obviously use this, but you wouldn't use that because this may break. One thing about the use of tools, when it's embedded into the wood, never twist it because you can break it. So be very careful how you handle these tools. I must say that the Japanese qualities are always superior as far as I'm concerned, although I'm sure the Chinese tools are getting better and better. I want to show you this stupid little tool here. I call it stupid because this is really like a cobbler's tool. You see, that little thing is for prizing nails out, and some people who come to our classes use these, but they are perfectly useless. Perfectly useless. I wouldn't say completely useless, because the person who brought this to the class did use it, but he found that it virtually doesn't compare to the actual article. So I would say don't waste your time in trying to improvise tools. Same goes for the secateurs. I won't mention who makes this one. This looks like a Felco, but the feel is different. The feel is completely different. So there are imitations, but there are good imitations and bad imitations. So let's come to the wire cutters. Wire cutters, many people who are into bonsai, and when they start off on bonsai, they think they can get away with using the ordinary electrical pliers to cut wire. You can cut wire, but the feel of the proper bonsai wire cutter is completely different. It is a very superior animal. And a proper wire cutter can cut really thick wire like butter. This is 7mm wire, and I can tell you that it will cut through like butter, like that. It is so sharp and so efficient. And then there are different sizes. That's I would say this is called a medium. This is a heavy duty one, and there are ones bigger than that to cut really thick wire. So in different tools you get different weights and they do a different job. Let's look at another favorite tool of mine. If I were to choose 3 favorite tools, the Felco would be my first preference, most favorite tool. This trick shears is the second favorite tool. Third most favorite tool is my gin pliers. You will have seen me use it when I twist the wire around the stems of trunks, and again they come in different sizes. This size is slightly smaller than that one. I prefer the small one for most jobs. And then there are these which are like a parrot beak, which are slightly bent over like that. That also does a job. So again, they all have their own separate uses. This is also a type of gin pliers because you can strip the bark with it. I call it the duck bill. Look at it. This is made in Japan. This is a Japanese tool. And you must be wondering what I have here. This, for those of you who live in India, will know that this is called the chimta. And this is used for lifting pots and pans. If you have a very hot pan for making your chapatis, you use this for picking up a very hot iron pan. But I've adapted it to use as a gin pliers, one of my favorite tools. But of course not as good as the proper Japanese gin pliers, but this will do. This costs only like £1, whereas these cost about 20 or 30 pounds. So there's a big difference in price, but it does the job after a fashion, and it does it quite well. And so I can go on, and root hooks, there are so many different designs. This, for those who have never come across this, I remember years ago, back in the 70s, 1976 to be precise, when Mr. John Marker came to the UK, and I remember organizing his visit because I was the chairman, or getting on to be the chairman of the British Bonsai Association, and he used this tool quite a lot for bending branches. It's called a branch bender, like that. It is just a lever. So if you put it on a branch like that, you can bend the thing like that. So that is what this branch bender is used for. Not often used by people, but it is a very, very useful tool. So that is the branch bender. So, another special tool which I came across, these are grafting knives, so many variations of the grafting knife. Now this tool is very special. This tool I purchased in Taiwan, and you see that's got 2 blades here, 1 blade there, 1 blade there, and it is used for air layering. So if you put it around a trunk, you can adjust the width and the thickness, and you put it around a branch, and then you go around the branch and it cuts a double groove, and you can take the bark off. So this is a special air layering tool. So I hope this little talk will give you some idea as to the variety of tools that are there. These are only the basic tools. As I said, I'm not talking of sophisticated carving tools. These are just the ordinary basic bonsai tools. So if you pan across, you will see them again. As you get more and more involved in bonsai, you will collect all different tools, and I can assure you no 2 tools are the same. They all have different weights, they feel different, and they have a different feel, and they have a different action. So you can never have too many tools. But having said that, I have often come across people who own every conceivable bonsai tool there is on the market. But it doesn't mean that they are good bonsai artists or bonsai practitioners. You can own everything, but you will not become good if you do not use the tools and do not practice using your skills with bonsai. Tools are only an aid to achieving something that you want to do. It is not an end in itself. I know that some people like to collect tools because they look nice, but always remember, tools are only an aid for achieving something. So good luck and have fun with your tools.